Welcome to episode 239 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. And this week, we've got an interview with the lead singer of the band Roxanne.
Awesome. Right on.
Yeah, we had a good conversation with him. I really liked it.
Yes, it was a good one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit about that band and what's going on and get you that interview here in just a bit. But first up, we got to let you know something. And that is that we are sponsored by MedFarm and DEB Concerts. MedFarm is a dispensary located in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma at 24683 East Highway 51. That's just about a quarter mile east of Oneida Road, right off Highway 51. Can't miss them. They've got a huge selection. They've got a doctor on site every Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. if you need to get your medical card. And if you go in there and you tell them that we sent you, or you heard about them on here, or you just mentioned Thunder Underground, they'll give you 10% off your order, which is very cool. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram because they're also always posting other specials, like 20% off of certain items. So get in there, check that out. Follow them at MedFarm OK on Instagram. Facebook is MedFarm, and that's PHARM. And their website is medfarmok.com. And their slogan is Cannabis with a Cause, because 30% of their proceeds are going to help build no-kill animal shelters.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we love it. And they're getting closer. They announced recently that they have the land and a building, and now they're just working on getting that building set up to turn it into a shelter. So that's one thing that we definitely need more of in not just this area, but all over the country. So props to them for that. We are also sponsored by DEB Concerts, a promoter right here in Tulsa that we know and we love because they keep bringing in bands that we know and love.
Oh, man. The best shows.
Yeah. Like the time that we saw Saxon earlier this year in downtown Tulsa.
At the IDL.
That's right.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah. Besides that, a ton of great other acts. Tom Kiefer, Sebastian Bach, Dokken, Warrant, LA Guns, Junkyard.
Kicks, Winger.
Oh, of course.
Firehouse, Warrant.
Yeah. Can't forget those. All these amazing shows and many more at the Ideal Ballroom. And coming up here in just a few days this weekend, Saturday, November 23rd, Vixen and the Iron Maidens, along with our good friends in Down for Five opening that show.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be killer. All three of those bands are great. If you're not familiar with the Iron Maidens, it is a all-female tribute to Iron Maiden. So that will kick ass, as you know, because this isn't just some band that formed and said, let's play some Iron Maiden songs. These are top-shelf fucking musicians that are playing Iron Maiden songs.
That's right. And we're going to be there at the show. If you see us, and you can tell us the name of Bruce Dickinson's band he was in before Iron Maiden, Trent will buy you beers all night long.
You son of a bitch. There's like people listening that know that answer right now.
Hey, or they have enough time to Google it. So first come, first serve.
That's right.
It's already been laid down on tape, so you have to do it, Trent.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Jason will be geeking out when they play Empire of the Clouds.
Oh man, well that'd be great. They could just play that and go home. I'd be okay with it.
There's probably a high probability that they won't, but I'm just throwing it out there in case they do.
Well, you know.
Man, wouldn't it be cool if they played Can I Play With Madness?
And they might. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, let's hope so.
Right?
But yeah, Vixen as well. 80s rock. They kicks ass. And then Down for Five, of course, as we said, kicks ass. If you're not familiar with them, look them up. And you can get your tickets from them and save a few bucks. Save the service charges. Don't have to pay those if you go through Down for Five.
Of course.
And you can also buy tickets at the door. This is at the Ideal Ballroom in downtown Tulsa. It'll be hosted by Eddie Trunk and brought to you by DEB Concerts.
That's right.
And DEB also books a stage at Rocklahoma for the past, this will be the third year, I think, but the last year, or the third or fourth year that they've sponsored a stage. The second year that they are booking all the acts.
Okay.
On the D&B processing stage in the Roadhouse area. Last year they had Ace Frehley, Lita Ford, Beasto Blanco, Slaughter, Jason's band Zen Hipster, And
with quite an interesting set that we don't need to go into right now.
we're going to recap it right now.
No,
for 20
God,
minutes.
let's not, please.
We had the Normandies, Solidify, Rocket Science, Poster Child. A great long list of bands, and I'm sure this year will be no different. In fact, just a couple nights ago on Surviving Rocklahoma, they announced, Doug Burgess was the guest on there with Adam, and they announced 10 of the bands that are going to be playing this stage, including Fist of Rage and Travis Bond.
And why is that all I know? I haven't seen the other...
We know them, but we're just not saying them because you need to go listen to Surviving Rocklahoma.
Okay, that's why no one's put the list up yet.
Yeah. Go listen to Surviving Rocklahoma if you want to know those other 8 bands.
All right, we'll do. I'll do that.
But no, that's a great show hosted by Adam Richman. If you're not familiar with it, Google them, or not Google them, search them on Facebook and follow them. They go live every Sunday night. Great stuff. So cool to get that announcement, and you can still send your EPKs to the DMV processing stage.
No, you can't.
Or they closed it off?
Yeah, I saw a post the other day that closed it up.
Well, that probably makes sense on why they announced 10 of the bands then.
I mean, hello, Trent. Hello.
I didn't see that post. Sorry.
Stay with me here. We're working. Come on.
All right. So soon enough, we're going to announce all those bands along with, I'm sure, the rest of Rocklahoma when that comes out.
Of course.
Yeah, so be looking forward to that. But a huge thank you. Wrap this part up to DEB Concerts.
Yes.
All right, let's play some music before we talk about a couple things.
Okay, sounds good.
What should we play?
Let's play some Steve Forst.
All right.
A guy that was in Forbidden Serenity. I think he did some stuff with Joint Effect. And he's got some solo stuff. So, what's the song called?
This is called It's Your Turn. It's Your Turn from Steve Forst. His new solo music. He put some stuff out here on Reverb Nation you can check out. He posted some of these songs recently. We heard them. We loved them. So we thought you needed to hear some stuff too.
That's right. ReverbNation.com/Steve Forst. Great Tulsa music. Definitely give it your attention. And he's also doing an acoustic set at the Mudflux CD release party on Friday, the 13th of December at Badass Renee's.
That's right.
So, get into all that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that acoustic set from him. I'm sure it'll be pretty badass. So, if you're in the area, get your ass over there and check that out.
Of course. I have no excuse. I'm like 2 minutes away from that place.
That's right. You're
like a minute.
Yeah, you're like just a little over a mile away.
Yeah. So, but you're coming with me.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
I have an excuse. I'm like 20 minutes away.
Okay.
That's not an excuse either.
I demand it now, sir.
Oh, well, of course. And we love Badass Renee's. It's a great place to see a show.
Of course.
So, yeah. I think one thing we need to talk about is Motley Crue, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. We could go a few different. There's so much going on. There's a lot of stuff hitting.
We'll see. By the time, I doubt by the time this comes out, that tour will have been announced. So we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
That's probably still another couple weeks away. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's officially announced that they're back.
Yeah. And there is a tour. They just haven't really talked about the details of it.
Right. And so all the rumors, and there are like legitimate sources posting this as a thing.
Yes.
Like, I'm talking like Loudwire, Metal Hammer, Rolling Stone, that are saying sources close to it or whatever, outside of the Black Crowes manager, have said that Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and Poison will be touring together.
Yes.
And someone along the way, I don't know if it was Black Crowes manager, someone said stadiums. So like now that's like part of the whole aura of this thing, which that's a question that I was going to ask you, or you're going to ask me. I don't know. Do you think this can fill stadiums, or
no? I don't.
Okay, that's what I think.
I don't. Don't get me wrong. I mean, sheds in the summer. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. Sheds in the summer. I mean, it'll fill it up. But stadiums, there's no way.
But see, here's the thing.
I mean,
in arena,
Jesus Christ, Metallica at AT&T that wasn't even sold out, was it? There's seats way up there that were empty. This isn't going to be fucking.
It was pretty close to it.
Yeah,
both that and Guns N' Roses looked pretty full.
Yeah, but so I don't know. I just don't know that.
But those bands are another level than.
Yes, exactly. I just don't know if this is a stadium thing.
Well, see, the thing is with an arena, you've got Def Leppard, who usually takes, good, like-minded support acts with them.
Yes,
and they've obviously done joint tours with bands like Kiss and Bryan Adams and whoever else, Journey recently.
Yeah.
That helps as well. But even when they're by themselves, they can get close to filling up a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
As if Motley Crue came back, as they are, and said, we're going on an arena tour, they could easily fill up arenas.
Yes.
But so you put these two bands together, that doesn't mean now you've got 40,000 tickets. You still got the same 20,000 people that would have went to your show. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You add Poison. That makes it a good draw because you got three of the biggest bands from the 80s rock era.
Yes.
I mean, outside of Guns N' Roses and Bon Jovi, that's pretty much the only other things that was big or bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. And what was it? Something like you said earlier, if they really did want to do stadiums, they should get Bon Jovi.
Right.
But, we know Bon Jovi's not going to fucking do that.
Yeah, if you add Bon Jovi on that bill.
He's too busy, with his gray hair and looking like a college professor. But
he can look that way if he's got Richie Sambora on stage. That's what I said.
Well, yeah. And the thing,
But he doesn't.
And that's fine, that's good. But I don't know. I
think you're pushing it.
Fill
30,000, maybe.
Like we've seen little things here and there that there's a fourth band that no one's talking about.
Yeah, but
that's got to be a smaller one.
Yeah, I don't see that as being on the Motley Crue Def Leppard level.
Yeah.
Or even the Poison level. I see it we mentioned, I think Tesla is an obvious choice because
Yeah.
they've toured a lot with Def Leppard, and they're a good opening band for those other three.
Like a Tom Kiefer kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Cheap Trick.
Yes. Yeah. Or like you said something like Hailstorm or Pop Evil. Watch it be something like that.
Yeah.
That really wouldn't even.
But I don't
know.
I mean, that's an instinct to say that, but I think that would be something that like Motley Crue would do if they're touring by themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's not really a draw when you have three bands from the same genre, the same era,
decade, yeah,
that draw the same crowds.
Yeah. And I also want to get in here. Yes, Motley Crue's back. All that shit about a contract. Calm your dick. It was just a gimmick. It was just a put on. There was no nothing signed. It was all just to get your money, and God damn it worked.
Right.
And now they're back. And I've seen rumblings, a few people here and there pissed off, I was ripped off. I was told that it's like, you should know that nothing ends.
Right.
Okay. Nothing ends. Nothing is ever over. Look at Foreigner.
Right.
So, that if they can, they will, and they are. So
right, and it was all worded very carefully back then where they could do this, and it's like, well, I mean, we
don't even have to word it carefully.
Oh, right.
Anyone can do anything they want nowadays. We know that, even
Absolutely.
if you like it or not.
But I mean, we've talked about this at tons of times on this podcast with Motley Crue, like 2 years ago. Who knows when it was? But it's like,
yeah.
I mean, I always assumed that I didn't, think that a full-on tour would come at this point. I just always assumed they would come back, and it would be like, remember we talked about them doing like a residency in Vegas again?
Yeah, I always thought they'd be.
Or like Motley Crue.
Like a one-off at Download or some shit like that,
That, like overseas, or like they're playing a show in LA, New York, Chicago. Like, it's like Motley Crue events like 3, 4, or 5 throughout the year, Yeah. So it's not really a tour, but hey, like you said, they can do what they want.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks.
This is
good
our
or
podcast.
bad.
It matters what we think.
Okay. Well, there you go. But
not really.
And this is such a great fucking bill.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people are just going to go and have fun. So more power to them, whatever.
Anybody that knows me, whether it be listening to this podcast or knows me personally, knows that I've been running my mouth about Vince Neil for like fucking 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've always said I love that band, but I just don't like them live because of him. But this is a great thing for fucking rock and roll.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. I would go to the show if it was close by, even though I've seen Def Leppard and Poison in the double digits for both of them.
Yeah.
But I would love to go see them again. And I would leave before Motley Crue, and that's fine. It doesn't matter.
There you go.
They could be, I would assume it's probably rotates if it's Motley Crue or Def Leppard, headlining, but
yeah.
Or it's probably the same time. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go, and that's just because, I would love to see Def Leppard again. Out of the three of them, that's the one band I could never get tired of seeing. But I'm just kind of not worrying about huge, gigantic shows this year anyways, just because everything's so overblown and so overpriced, and so, you have a fear of missing out to the point where you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to save your money for that Rage Against the Machine show.
Shit. There's another one, and fuck you, okay? I'm just kidding. But, it's just like, there's so much shit, and there's so much money, and you just don't know what to do, and, just other stuff that you go through in life. And, that's just kind of a thing for me that I've kind of, loosely put out there is, next year I'm not really into like gigantic, huge shows,
Metallica did some shows nearby.
That's the one thing. I was literally about to say that too.
Right, okay.
Me and Melissa talked about all this, and I'm like, now if Metallica came out and did this one-off thing somewhere, or they did a surprise U.S. run, all that goes out the fucking window.
Right.
You know what I mean? But other than that, yeah, so, but I think, you know, I just don't like I don't like the negativity, you know, it's just a fun bill, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's, cash grab this, cash grab that. Well,
no shit.
Of course, it all is. The whole thing is.
Their last tour 5 years ago was a cash grab.
No
what the fuck
shit.
are you talking about?
And it's like, you know, and Kiss, the end of the road. It's not the end of the road. But fuck, if that's your thing, go see it. I don't, you know, same with Rage. I mean, that's a whole, it's an election year now more than ever. No, it's a year for you to make a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, it
but it
coincides, which is great for him.
Yeah. but at the same time, people fucking love that band and they don't really play out that often.
Right.
So if you're a fan, man, fucking go and have a great fucking time. What a show it's going to be.
Right.
So, you know,
well, there you go. I was looking at my phone while you were talking, and breaking news is that this tour got announced, and the fourth band is Ugly Kid Joe playing Menace to Sobriety in its entirety to open the show.
You are lying.
With Shannon Larkin back in the band.
You are lying out of your teeth.
No, shit, it happened.
Yeah, okay.
You heard it here
all
first.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Now, you know who would fit this bill very well as a fourth band?
What?
Roxanne.
They would. What a great segue.
Right.
They could open up with Go Fuck Yourself, too.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Dedicated to the ghost of Vince Neil's vocals.
Oh, my God. Well, we're never going to have anyone from Motley Crue on this podcast.
If they've ever listened to this podcast, we weren't in the first place.
Yeah. We were probably banned in the first week.
Mick Mars would do it.
Yeah, he would. He's, yeah.
No, but we will have John Crabbe on here, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Which, speaking of, John Crabbe comes up in this interview we got here coming this bit.
That's right.
Because on Roxanne's new album, Radio Silence, they do what I thought when I heard it was a cover of Man in the Moon.
Yeah.
By The Scream. And I was just like, man, that's just crazy and out of the blue. And then before we did the interview, you know, I was just looking up stuff and realized that Jamie Brown actually wrote this song. And you'll hear all about that.
Great story.
In this interview. Yeah.
Great story.
But yeah, so this band, Roxanne, had their debut album in 1988, kind of in the thick of the whole stuff we were just talking about, the Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison era, you know, and had some moderate success, and then just decided they never did a second album. They kind of split up. As you'll hear about in this interview, they split up, but they've still been in contact.
Yes.
And they decided to get back together and record an album that came out about a year ago. And this album, Radio Silence, is, to put it in a one word, fantastic.
Oh, it's a great album. Fun record to listen to. I mean, just riffs and jams. This is a good record. I still need to order that cassette.
That's right. Yeah, it covers like all the bases of like classic rock, AOR, 80s rock. It's just rock and roll is a good way to describe this thing, because it just kind of, I mean, if you like any form of classic rock, I can't see why you wouldn't love this album.
Yeah. If you are of the ilk that frequents the IDL Ballroom,
right?
This band checks all your boxes. You need to check them out.
Yeah. And the album features appearances by Doug Pinnick.
Of course.
Ray Luzier. Is that how you say his last name?
I think so. That's how
I've always said it. Okay.
Seen people, or heard people pronounce it.
He's the drummer from Korn. And George Lynch. So there's some heavy firepower right there from them three. And you hear a lot of stuff in this interview as well about Doug Pinnick. So should we just jump into it?
I think so.
All right, let's get into this. This is Jamie Brown, lead singer of Roxanne. Radio Silence has been out about a year now. Like, what are your thoughts now looking back on everything, and are you happy with the reception of it and everything?
Yeah, you're right. It has been a year almost exactly. And we're really happy with the record, and the response has been great, actually. And we're getting ready to start on the follow-up.
Well, how did the process come about deciding to get back together to make a second album? Was it a collective thing, or was it like one of you reaching out to everybody, or how'd that work?
We're all pretty close, and we've been playing together over the years, doing different things, not original music, but covers and that sort of stuff. And then I also do a music video production. So I've been involved with a few different labels, and one of them was Rat Pack. And conversation came up with them about Roxanne and if everybody was still around, and we were, and so that's basically what led to the new record, was conversation with them, and I brought up the guys, hey, do you want to do a new record? And sure, and that's what we did. And then from that point, it actually still took another 3 years to get it out. So from the point of them saying, yeah, let's do it, to writing it and tracking it and getting it out took 3 years.
And was there ever, over the years, any talk of doing an album sooner?
Yeah, but it would have been kind of pointless. We didn't have any outlet to release it and get it out of circulation, so we just opted not to do it and went about our lives, taking care of our families and that sort of thing, and until the Rat Pack situation popped up, it didn't really make sense.
Well, with that long in between, talk about staying true to your sound, but, incorporating fresh stuff. Was that a challenge?
I don't know. I think in some ways it might have made it easier for us because we kind of stayed true, because we the change in the sound, it kind of just jumped right over us. So there was no struggle for us to, remain the same. We were the same. Nothing had changed. It was the same band, and it was as if we had just, finished the last record and gone to sleep for 30 years and woke up and did the second record.
So you're saying it all felt pretty natural?
Oh, sorry, we're talking over each other there. Yeah, and it was awesome, but it was great to have the opportunity to have George Lynch and Doug Pinnick and Ray Luzier play on the record too. So that added a lot of flavor to what we had set out to do.
So it was a pretty natural process when you guys got back together. Like, it all felt pretty easy to just jump right back into it, basically.
Yeah, for the most part, technology had changed a lot. We were used to, we did a record, it was, all analog. There was no Pro Tools at that point. And the writing process when you're 25 versus when you're 55 is a little bit different. You can't really write about the same things.
Right.
Or, your worldview has changed a little bit in 30 years. So, before we were kind of like, oh, that's a cool riff, and then what are we going to say? Oh, it doesn't matter what you say. It only matters how you say it. And then at this record, I was more concerned with what I was saying, because I didn't say much on the first record.
Well, you mentioned George and Doug and Ray. Did you know George or Doug back in the day, or was this more of a thing with their involvement with Rat Pack, how that came to be?
Well, I had known Ray from Korn for, 20 or 25 years, so I knew Ray for, forever, basically. And Ray was an old Roxanne fan, and his cover band, when he was living in Pittsburgh, covered a couple of songs off of the first Roxanne record. Then he moved to L.A., and that's when I met him, and we stayed friends from then, and obviously he got the gig in Korn. And when KXM put their thing together with Rat Pack and they were looking to do a video, Ray asked me to do the video. So that's what started my relationship there with George and Rat Pack. And then as far as Doug, I'd been a King's X fan since Out of the Silent Planet. So, having the opportunity to work on the KXM video and meet Doug, and that was great. But then becoming friends and getting him to actually play on one song and sing on another, that was pretty much a dream come true for me.
You'd mentioned earlier, you're involved with video production. That has to come in pretty handy when doing your own videos, because some of these that you've done so far are pretty cool.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have 5 of them, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's got the budget these days for basically a nobody band and doing 5 videos. So having owning that equipment and having access to that definitely made that possible. It wasn't like they weren't free by any means, but it wasn't as if we were started from scratch.
Are you involved with like the direction and the concept of these videos as well? Is that what you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I think right now, besides the Roxanne videos that are out, there's probably 45 or 50 other videos out that I've directed and edited and produced. Some of them maybe I co-directed with somebody or, had some help, but pretty much, did the whole thing on most of them.
I know that the Quarter to Four video just came out about a month ago, and I really dug the concept of having the characters sing the lines. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of a natural for that song. That song I actually had written, intended for the second Roxanne record. So that I wrote probably in 1989 or 90 maybe, and it was just sitting there in the closet when we said, well, do we have anything old that we didn't get to use that we want to use on a record? So it was that one, and then Man in the Moon. I'd also written that in, I'm going to say 88 or 89, and then the Scream recorded that and released it in 92, I think, with John Corabi singing on it. So some people looked at that like, oh, they did a cover of the Scream song, and that's not completely accurate. So it's something that I had written back in the early 90s.
When John Corabi is one of my favorite singers of all time, and when I heard that, I thought you guys covered it, and I started digging around and saw that I saw that in another interview where you said you had written that. And so how did it end up in the hands of the Scream?
There was a period where, before they were called the Scream, it was basically Racer X, Paul Gilbert. And at one point, I think it was about the time when Paul went off to do Mr. Big, the guys in Racer X thought, let's try going a different direction, and they asked me to sing in the band. And so that was one of the songs that I had already written. I brought it in and said, well, I got this. And, amongst some other new things that we wrote together, that was one of them. So we'd actually done a demo. And then Scott Travis, who was the drummer at that point, got the gig in Judas Priest, and he left, and that was pretty much, the exodus for all of us. And then they reformed, got John Corabi and Walt Woodward, and formed the Scream. And then when they were writing material for their record, they had a couple of those that we had done together and said, hey, can we include Man in the Moon and one other one on the record? And that's how it ended up there.
And the whole time since Roxanne split to now, have you always been involved with music, or has it just been video production? Or
yeah, since we stopped doing Roxanne records and gigs, I think we were probably still doing an occasional gig through 92 or something like that. But we had started a cover. We always made a living doing covers. Prior to Roxanne doing original music, we did covers, but we didn't do your traditional top 40 covers. We would cover like the Partridge Family or the Beatles or disco songs in a rock and roll way, these weird songs. And that's how we were paying our bills at the time. And that's how we wound up doing a cover of Play That Funky Music on the first Roxanne record, because the label had seen us doing that show, so we want to include one of these weird covers you guys do. So we put that on the record. And then when we went to tour for that record, we turned that song into a medley of disco songs. And that turned into an entire show called The Boogie Nights. And so in 92, we started doing something called The Boogie Nights, where we would, have alter egos dress up in disco costumes and do choreography and the whole thing and do a whole night of disco songs as some other band called the Boogie Nights. And sometimes the Boogie Nights would open for Roxanne, and sometimes Roxanne would open for the Boogie Nights. And then that took off to the point that we couldn't do anything else. We were so busy. So we've been doing that for 30 years. And we've all managed to make a living doing that this whole time.
Oh, wow. So you're saying that 4 of you have been doing that continuously?
We have.
Oh, okay.
We have. And then, and also every other musician friend that I had, I called in because we couldn't fill all the gigs that we had. So we, called all our musician friends and said, hey, copy us and do what we're doing, and whatever gigs we can't fill, we'll give them to you. And so we started a business called Perfect World Entertainment that does that. And now we have 7 shows in a few hundred with the United States that work for Perfect World Entertainment, doing these weird cover shows in their different cities. So we still do that too.
That has to be a fun thing to reimagine these songs. I kind of dig that idea. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, it gets on you after a while that you're lugging a suitcase full of weird costumes to the airport, and I wonder what's this for? What's this wig for? And why do you have these platform shoes in here? But yeah, it's definitely fun, and it's great that you get to do it with an alter ego. So we have you don't get recognized. Oh, hey, I saw you doing that disco thing. Nobody has any idea it's the same guy. Well, they do now because I've been telling people. But.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned starting work on the 3rd album. Like, do you guys have a timetable for that, or when you're going to get into the studio and that kind of thing?
Well, we're already behind schedule. We said, we had to kind of lay it out. Okay, this is what we're going to do, and then we're going to start writing here, and then we're going to book the studio time out here, and we're going to get in, and that whole schedule fell apart like it usually does. So right now, we still got some shows that we're going to do as Roxanne, and once those are behind us, we're going to hunker down on the writing for this record. Everybody's been writing on their own and bringing in their ideas, but it doesn't really turn into anything until we're all together. And so we got a couple of shows. We're going to be playing in Austin this Saturday and Dallas Sunday, and then we're going to be doing we're not doing the Monsters of Rock cruise, but we're doing the Monsters of Rock pre-party. They have concert 2 nights before the boat takes off in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And we're playing on night 2. And so we're going to get that behind us in any of the shows we have between now and then, which I think that's February 7th. Then we're going to go back in the studio for this record.
Well, you mentioned you guys writing separately and coming together. Is that the way that it's always been done with you guys, or is that just like how it is now?
That's how it is now because of the lives that we're living, and we're, all living in pretty far apart. We used to live together, so writing together was easier now, and everybody's, hours, if not states apart. So everybody writes things, and then we'll get together and we'll turn on the tape deck and let it run while we play through the stuff, and then usually everybody will take off. I'll take those pieces and go, okay, how can I turn this riff or this thing here into a song? What's good about it? What's bad about it? How can I rearrange it? Piece it together, and then they'll come back and I'll go, see what I made? And then we'll work on it again and keep doing that till we narrow it down to just the good parts.
And coming up, who were your guys? Who were your influences that made you want to even get involved with this in the first place?
For me personally, I think I had 2 older brothers that were also guitar players and into music, so I got exposed to music that I might not otherwise have because of the age difference. So for me, I think the first record that I bought with my own money was Deep Purple, Machine Head. And that was a huge influence on me. And then I would say after that, probably Alice Cooper and the Beatles and Thin Lizzy and Cheap Trick, and that was probably the nucleus for me. And then, later in the 80s, it was, after I heard King's X, nothing would come close. So,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard anything since then either. So, that's pretty much it for me. Other guys, they would have similar but different, probably more Rolling Stones and Aerosmith for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane how, I mean, King's X should be way bigger than they are,
Yeah. But it's kind of nice, for us as fans
Yeah.
that, we can go see them in a small club and stand right there and reach out and touch them with
Yeah.
music,
Yeah, it's our own
They're
little
accessible. Yeah, right. Yeah. And the tickets are cheap.
thing. Yeah, that's very important.
For us. Not so much for them, but for us.
Yeah,
Who
true,
knows? Maybe
true.
that's going to change.
True.
I've heard 3 tracks off their new record, and it's outstanding. So that
Great.
King's X fans are going to love it, and hopefully a bunch of people that never heard of them are going to love it as well.
Yeah, I'm really glad they're putting a new one out.
Yep. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I get to make the videos.
Yeah. Well, being a part of a band that was around during that kind of heyday of the 80s rock scene, do you have any great memories from LA, the Sunset Strip, that kind of thing?
Wow. I've tried to, the things that I can remember, I've tried to block out. I have this memory. I wouldn't say it's a great one, but it's relevant to us doing another record and kind of the history here. When we went to record that first record, we didn't have any good equipment, really. We were kind of a poor band from the Inland Empire, kind of desert rats, and we would borrow things when it mattered and, play out of whatever junk we could get our hands on. But it was time to do a record, and we needed something decent. So we rented a drum set for that instead of playing the Sears drum set that we had at the time. And I borrowed Paul Gilbert's Marshall because I didn't have a decent guitar. So Paul lent me his favorite Marshall. So we got the guitar, it's all done. We're done with all the tracking, packed up the Marshall, and the head was in the trunk of our manager's car. That night, gets stolen out of the car.
Oh, shit.
So now I not only still don't have a guitar amp, but now I owe Paul $1,000 for his amp that I don't have. So that's one of my memories of Hollywood in the 80s is having Paul's head stolen out of our car. He actually told me, I don't know, about a year or so ago that somebody had found him on Facebook and they had bought that head on eBay and it had Paul's name inscribed inside. So they got a hold of Paul and said, "Hey, is this your head? Do you want it back?" And that was the head, but he let the guy keep it. He said, "No, you can have it." So
Wow.
I would have liked to have it. He should have got it and given it to me. But
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
yeah.
Did he take it all right
But,
back then, or how did he take it whenever he found it?
That guy is so mellow and just takes everything in stride. Like, oh well, whatever, just a head. So, I mean, I paid him for it, but still,
Right.
Yeah.
he could have been a lot more upset, but he wasn't upset at all.
Right. Well, you mentioned up front Rat Pack Records. Talk about working with them and how that experience has been on the band side of things, because I noticed that they really put a lot of effort into promoting their bands with a lot of bundles and everything, and they just seem like a great label to work with, I would assume.
Yeah, Joe O'Brien, the president of Rat Pack, has a really good philosophy for doing business these days on this level, trying to sell music. Most rock music is stolen. It's not bought. I think country music gets bought, and that's about it. And but rock fans haven't been as loyal as they probably should be. They steal, get things for free, or listen to Spotify or whatever, and that that kind of limits the number of options you're going to have for music. If you're not paying for it, there's nobody can afford to do it. Joe, being a fan of music, puts a lot of effort into the packaging, so there is some incentive to buy it and not just stream it. And we like that about it. We wanted to do vinyl. Joe wanted to do vinyl. We wanted to do a gatefold. Joe wanted to do a gatefold. So we wanted it to be that record that we used to buy when our moms would drive us to the warehouse, and we'd buy the record, and by the time we got home, we'd read every single letter inside, on the jacket, on the sticker, everything. We've read everything by the time we got home. So we wanted to make that kind of product, and that's what Rat Pack does, and it's been great for us.
Yeah, they put out the John Corabi record on cassette, so if you guys have a cassette, yeah. I'm all about it.
Yeah, we did cassette, and then we did the vinyl. The vinyl has 2 songs less than the CD. The CD has 2 additional songs. And the reason was it would have, you can only get 44 minutes on the vinyl without degrading the quality. So we opted to take 2 off of the vinyl, but put a free download card in there. So if you did buy the vinyl, you could get the whole thing. You could download that too. It didn't cost you anything to do the other songs.
Right. I will look that up.
And we did the cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the vinyl is like a red splatter vinyl, and it's got a nice, the sleeves have a lot of pictures, and there's just a lot of cool stuff in there. This next record, though, we're going to keep it to 44 minutes. In fact, the whole thing on it. This one was 52. But we figured after 30 years, we can't just stop with, 8 songs. We can do more than 8. That's 30 years.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to talk to us.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
There you go, Jamie Brown of Roxanne. Huge thank you to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotions. And, of course, a huge thank you to Jamie Brown for taking some time out there to talk to us.
Hell yeah. It was a great conversation. Learned a lot, found out a lot. So go check these guys out. If you don't, I'm going to have Trent hit you over the head with a football helmet like that one dude the other day.
That one dude.
And you don't want that.
No. Oh, man. I wish this was a football podcast so I could go into that right now, but I'm not going to. There's no point,
I'm just saying, check out Roxanne. You will love them. This is a great record.
Radio Silence. Yeah, seriously. We can't say great, fantastic, amazing enough, because this truly, like if, I will admit to my ignorance that this wasn't on my radar last year.
Yeah.
So if it was, I'm pretty sure it would have been in my top, 18 of 2018 last year. Because it was that good. So definitely give this thing a listen. And as you heard there should be another one coming here in the next year or two. So really looking forward to that. And something else I wanted to point out, like I've held on to this tidbit of information since that night. And I was like, I'm going to remember to say this, even though it's completely irrelevant and stupid. But we were talking about Doug Pinnick, and then, of course, we talked a little bit about King's X, because, he talked about the new album they're working on and all that, how we're looking forward to that. But, like, while we recorded that episode, I was wearing a King's X shirt, and I realized it later that night. I was like, just what's the coincidence there?
I mean, who'd have thought?
What does that mean? Nothing, but here it is.
Well, there's the hell of it.
And you're just like, why did you waste 40 seconds saying that?
Hey, that's okay. That's all right.
But no, here's something that's not a waste of time. If you are listening to this, you're a first-time listener, like some Roxanne, we've had quite a few bands on this podcast that I think fall along the same lines that you might like.
Oh, yeah. Europe, Bullet Boys, Trickster, fucking Firehouse, Warrant,
Junkyard,
Mark Slaughter.
Yeah, Mark Slaughter. LA Guns, both Tracy Guns and Phil Lewis. That was a great one. We've had on Frank Hannon from Tesla.
Kicks.
Yeah. We've had on, like, pretty much the whole band of Kicks was on this podcast. We had on Chris McCarville, who's the bass player for Dokken. Steve Blaze from Lillian Axe. Ty Ketto. Chris Green, that guitarist is fucking phenomenal
record. Man, do you remember that night we had Stevie Blaze from Lillian Axe on?
Yeah.
We met him in the lobby, and we were like trying to figure out where to go do this, and like some fucking drunk douchebag like fucking punched his girlfriend. Remember that shit? And
Man,
like
totally
another dude tackled him.
Yeah.
And like all the cops and the security guards just fucking, they just mounted this guy and just waylaid on him.
Yeah.
And Stevie Blaze was like, I think we better find another place to do this. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, because then I remember he went backstage looking for a spot, and he's like, there's no closed rooms, so we just went out and did it in the back parking lot of the Bomb Factory.
He was like, I'll meet you guys out back. That was nuts.
Which the Bomb Factory is a great place.
That's an amazing place to see a show.
Yeah. But yeah, Lillian Axe, there is an underrated band. And just a random side note, I saw a thing just a few days ago that said that, I don't know that it's out yet, but they're about to release a special edition flash drive that has everything that's ever been recorded by Lillian Axe or Steve Blaze.
Wow. Like
the entire discography of Lillian Axe, it's like in the teens on how many albums they have, all the live albums, all the compilations, and then all this solo stuff. And it's only like $60.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about if you buy all this shit separately, this would probably be $200 worth or more. So.
Nice. Well, they'll sell a few of those for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that ilk of music, we've recently had on a couple different members from Clutch. We've had on guys from Killswitch Engage, Prong, COC, Superjoint, Crowbar.
Life of Agony, Typo Negative.
Yes, very recent.
Yes.
I always forget the most recent ones, because I'm so used to saying all the other stuff.
Exactly. But, Seven Dust.
Yep. Megadeth. Kiss. Oh, and another one from that era I forgot to mention was Def Leppard, because we had on Vivian Campbell.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So check that out. All that stuff. It's all at soundcloud.com/Thunder-Underground. You can listen to everything on iTunes, Google Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Mixcloud, and you can also listen to it straight off our website at thethunderunderground@gmail.com. No, that's our email. thethunderunderground.com. But that website, thethunderunderground.com, you can find reviews. Jason recently did one on a band called Hysteria.
Yes.
Which we played a track of theirs on the Kenny Hickey episode just a couple weeks ago.
What a great fucking record.
Yeah, so look that up, read that, check that band out. And you can also find all our social medias on there as well. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we're on YouTube at The Thunder Underground. Subscribe there because we put up videos of us reviewing recent releases. We did Michael Sweet's recent album, Dream Theater's newest album earlier this year. All kinds of reviews of albums, singles, concerts, etc. So check that out as well. And I guess that covers it.
Alrighty.
All right. So thanks again to Jamie Brown, Med Farm, and DEB Concerts. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.